Blake Shelton is responding to the backlash following he and his wife Gwen Stefani's performances during the AMA Awards earlier this week. So, Blake Shelton is dealing with some backlash after the American Music Awards this past Monday night. And honestly, it's not really about his performance, it's about how that performance happened. Here's what went down. The AMAs aired on Memorial Day, hosted by Jennifer Lopez, and let's just say it wasn't exactly appointment television. Most people didn't even realize it was happening, and apparently a lot of the nominated artists didn't show up either. But Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani were supposed to be there performing live. At least that's what fans who bought tickets were expecting. Turns out both Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani pre-taped their performances. Stefani did Swallow My Tears, and Shelton performed Stay Country or Die Tryin'. But neither one were actually on stage during the live show. For people watching at home, it looked completely live. The AMAs even promoted it as live from the 2025 American Music Awards. But if you were sitting in that audience expecting to see Blake Shelton perform, you were looking at an empty stage. Now, pre-taping performances isn't exactly rare for award shows. It happens all the time, especially when you've got complicated stage setups that can't be flipped during a commercial break. But here's the thing. Fans who paid good money to be there felt pretty ripped off when they realized Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani weren't actually performing live. The backlash started building, and Blake Shelton must have been seeing the complaints because he took to X to address it. And his response was pretty straightforward. He said, quote, "Just now seeing these stories about Gwen and I pre-taping our performances for the AMAs. We came and performed when the show asked us to. Really, nothing else to say." So Blake Shelton is basically saying this wasn't his call. The AMAs asked them to pre-tape, and that's what they did. And honestly, that makes sense. If the show's producers decided they want pre-tape performances for logistical reasons, that's their decision to make. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani were just following the show's decision. But here's where it gets a little murky. If you're going to advertise artists as live performances when they're actually pre-taped, maybe give the audience a heads up. The people in that venue deserve to know what they were actually paying to see. Blake Shelton's response puts the responsibility back on the AMAs, and he's probably right to do that because it doesn't change the fact that the fans did feel misled. Now, the whole AMA situation was pretty messy any way you look at it. You had Post Malone and Beyonce winning country categories, which had country fans up in arms, and there was that whole Shabuzi and Megan Maroney side-eye moment that went viral. The show felt pretty disconnected from what country music fans actually wanted to see, and Blake Shelton defending himself and Gwen Stefani makes perfect sense. They showed up, they did what was asked of them, and they delivered performances that honestly did look great on television. The issue isn't Blake Shelton or Gwen Stefani, it's just how the AMAs handled the entire situation and communicated it to their audience. So, what do you think about Blake Shelton's response? Should the AMAs have been more upfront about the pre-tape performance, or is this just part of how these shows work now? Drop your thoughts in the comments and we'll keep you updated on how this whole situation plays out. That's your latest update from CountryCast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button with notifications on for the latest news in country, entertainment, and more.